of great value.
There has been public health PS, Madam Mary Muthoni there at Safari Park Hotel, where they are having a breakfast meeting in regards to the preparations of this year World Malaria Day celebrations that will be held in Nyakach in Kisumu County. And very quickly, she has talked about concerted effort by different stakeholders bearing fruits, mentioning that there have been a 7% reduction in the cases of malaria in the past 1 year, and calling on all stakeholders to join in the fight to kick out malaria in the countries. Talked about challenges, financial constraints, and as one of the main challenges in the quest to eradicate malaria. And Homa Bay County has been lauded. Another county has been lauded. Siaya, Turkana, Kisumu and Migori still need a lot to be done. Straight to you, Oscar. And in Nyanza, there has been a lot of cases of malaria. You see Kisumu, Migori and Siaya, they talk about a lot needs to be done. But Homa Bay has been mentioned as one of the counties that has stepped up its fight against malaria from 38% to 3%. That is something to be proud about, even as we wait for the medics to go back to work.
Anyway, before I say something a little bit about malaria, you know, you cut me off before I finished my bit on disaster. I think the solution is that we do not have to reinvent the wheel. We've had a ministry of special programs and disaster management in this country, which was doing so well. With the climate change problems, where we move from El Nino to La Nina to what, we cannot leave this thing to Red Cross, because currently we don't have a specific person who is in charge of disaster management in the country. We don't have anything that deals with it, so we rely on Red Cross. When you go out as Troy to look for information, like for example, how many people have died? Are they 35? Yes. Who has told you it is Red Cross, not government? This is not something we can leave to an NGO. We must have not a department of government, not a department, a special programs ministry which deals with disaster management, be it cholera, be it even armyworms in the Siaya, be it things to do with disasters like cholera, be it something to do with floods, fires, whatever happened in Embakasi when there was this fire of the gas explosion, in Kirinyaga, the alcohol problem. These are disasters that disrupt communities and disrupt our economic situations and social lifestyles. We must have a line ministry which has a budget from the exchequer to deal with it.
All right.
So that is my position. Okay. Issues of malaria. Kavi, we already have a vaccine to deal with this. This malaria ravages us. We come from Siaya. This is a disease that will get hold of you, Troy, on a Monday and you're dead by Wednesday. It is a bad, bad thing. If you get malaria, you fall dead. It doesn't give you time, because when the hospital is like 10 kilometers away and you don't have transport or a boda to take you there.
And the doctors are on strike.
And the doctors are on strike on counties like ours, which relies so much on public health. There are counties like Gishu or Nairobi and Mombasa, which probably rely so much on private health. But from these counties that you're talking about, these counties rely 90% on public health. So the pinch of doctor strike is really felt by some of these counties. They're not private hospitals. Like, for example, I said, I come from Siaya. There's one private hospital in Siaya town, which only has almost, how many, 30 beds? You know, and this is a vast county that has one referral hospital and all this. So if this thing to do with malaria's problem is the pharmaceuticals. There's what we call, and we saw it during COVID-19, the politics around vaccines. When somebody releases a vaccine and somebody says blah, blah, blah. So the vaccine should be rolled out. But the problem why the vaccine cannot be rolled out, although it has been proven to be almost 75% safe, the only reason why it has politics around it is because the pharmaceuticals that have been doing malaria medicines, because they claim that they've spent so much money in doing their research to produce those drugs, They wouldn't want a situation where we get vaccines so that vaccines can deal with this thing. Issues of nets and what have you have not helped us so much to deal with this thing to do with malaria. It still kills people. Nets, people sleep in nets at night. Where I come from, mosquitoes will bite you during the day. You could be right. You just sit there like this, and if you don't have a trouser and a sock, they will bite you. You know, so nets are not our solution. Our solution is for people under the age of 5, let them be vaccinated. And the vaccination has been allowed and should be rolled out by government. But I know the politics around vaccines, that pharmaceuticals organization, big farm tech, who produces the coartams of this world, Dr. will tell you, they wouldn't allow such a thing to happen because they would be out of business. So that is the issue with malaria. So going round and round that the husband sleeps in the night and so on, no, this is all rubbish. What I think is that government should put so much money on vaccine, people under the age of 5, let them be vaccinated out of malaria.
Doc, you...
I think it is true that we have a lot of challenge in the arena of managing malaria in the country. But Ministry of Health has done a lot. Malaria is a historical disease that we know very well killed many people before the era of medication. And we know a number of even family members whom we lost through that. But Ministry of Health has done a lot of effort globally, but also a lot of contribution has been given into it. And the malaria control program in the country is a standalone program that looks specifically on how to deal with malaria cases, reduce mortalities as a result of malaria cases, and of course prevention strategies. We may want to blame quite a number of Ministry of Health workers on lack of proper management of malaria cases. But I think it also comes back to the environment in which we live in. Breeding of mosquitoes occur in, stuck waters, where water is stuck and stay long, and that's where they breed. And environmentally, you see we never give concentration on that particular aspect of prevention, because of any disease, prevention is always the best, and that is where you know very well resources can be also minimized. Scientists have gone far in terms of research and to find out whether there will be indeed a vaccine for malaria prevention. In the component of prevention, vaccination is one of it. We know a number of vaccines are in the limelight. They have not yet been fully started, its utilization, but we know we are heading somewhere. And I think, as my colleague, the scholar here says, pharmaceuticals have no role in the world of research because they do their research in terms of their drugs. But in terms of preventive measures or strategies, of which vaccination is one of it, these are independent researchers who will want to make a breakthrough in order for malaria, which has been there in the world for years and has killed many people, to be reduced. And therefore, if a breakthrough comes with the scientists and the vaccination is on board, I don't think if there's anyone who will go into consult pharmaceutical products, pharmaceutical companies, to whether this vaccination should be rolled out or not.
Dr. I didn't mean somebody's consulting them, but I mean the vaccination politics around it. There's a lot of politics so much around vaccines.
Absolutely. I mean, when there is something coming up, everybody will always want to have his way. It's the same thing that we are facing in the floods and construction of our cities. And therefore, the politics will never be out of the COVID project has taken so long. Yes,
but so that I think should be rolled out now.
I think they want to get it right because vaccination of parasitic infections is so difficult, and science have proved it that it takes long, and therefore we cannot prove that they are having challenges from pharmaceutical companies. That is why they are not able to roll out very easily or very fast. So I think we are hoping that vaccines will come our way one of the fine days before we leave this world, because it has taken long and many who wanted to see this vaccine have left us. And therefore, on that note then, I think we applaud our researchers, we applaud the ministry for their efforts, and I think malaria will going to kill people now. It is raining, and this is when the breeding is high. We need our medical fraternity back to their normal work.
Yeah.
The business of our politicians playing politics in the life of Kenyans should stop. The CS, the PS should come out very clearly and agree. I'm not saying they should be paid what they want. Agree. That's why it's called negotiation.
All right.
Agree on something that will go into
and we'll be
bring
looking
back
at that.
Our medical fraternity, our medics to their normal work, so that common Kenyans benefit from the services that they used to get.
All right.
By the way, we are not exceptional. Those who claim that they can go and afford the private hospitals, we are currently having pressure from the family members and communities asking for medication because the government hospital is not working. And therefore, what happens? We keep on sending money to buy medicine from private facilities for family members and relatives and people who know you, who cannot afford, and in any case, who are able to go and get their medication from the government facilities. So I think our doctors should be back to their work.
All right. And Melly, we are looking at the health sector, and allow me to play the devil's advocate. I remember a couple of days back, the head of public service said that when the CBA was signed in 2017, they didn't factor in, all those who are negotiating, they did not factor in Treasury, so that it can be able to say that in the next 5 or 6 years, we will be able to have made this money so that we may be able to pay the intern doctors. And also fair enough is that a lot of doctors, the university are churning out more doctors than the government can accommodate as interns. Yesterday, they had a meeting with the religious leaders and gave a wide berth to the meeting that the COG and the head of public service had organized yesterday. The religious leaders have also called for more discussions as well. But let's first of all hear something in regards to that before we delve into this, so that we may have a clear picture on what transpired as of yesterday.
To wait a bit longer to have the medics resume their duties. Head of Public Service Felix Koskei says the government side had agreed to postpone the signing slated for Monday to mark the end of a month-long strike.
He agreed that the union leadership goes back to report to their council and their membership so that they can ratify for us to come and sign the return to work agreement.
According to Koskei, most contentious issues concerning the strike have been resolved, and the government is waiting for KMPDU to conclude ratification of the same with their members.
Concerning the sticking issue, it's something that we discussed yesterday, and now they are continuing with their meeting, and we have to have our meeting tomorrow. So we don't want to preempt any, and we don't want to set up anybody. So wait for tomorrow's announcement.
Koskei, however, refused to divulge the details of what was agreed concerning intern doctors' demand for 206,000 shillings remuneration.
We are almost at the tail end of this process, so we are waiting for the affirmation. As we've all agreed that we will reconvene tomorrow for the final signing, and we're looking forward to the strike being called off. Thank you.
A return-to-work formula drafted by representatives of both sides is now a subject of discussion by the Doctors' Union KMPDU officials, who are expected to take a vote this evening on whether to call off their strike. For Prime Edition, I'm Joseph Wahungu.
That was a story that was prepared by Joseph Wahungu. That was about 6:30 in the evening yesterday, and they did not sign the return to work agreement because they say whatever they had agreed in the CBA of 2017, there are some places that they need ironing out, and unfortunately they did not sign that. They were given more time to have a look at that and maybe come to an agreement in regards to how they are going to be coming back to work. Melly, you've seen and you've heard the doctors yesterday did not sign that return to work agreement, and in as much as they want the CBA honored. A lot has changed since 2017, and the treasury factor is something that is coming into play, and that I believe that is why the head of public service made that statement in regards to that CBA. And in as much as the doctors want all their grievances addressed, just like they agreed in the CBA, unfortunately, the coffers are not quite full as they should be. And the government says we are churning out more doctors than we can accommodate in the internship program.
Now,
we need to find a middle ground.
The healthcare sector in this country has been in the HDU for a very long time. And we want first to thank the doctors for being patient with us from 2017. It's not easy. I am sure if it was another organization, they would have gone to strike sooner than they did this time round. Now, when there is an agreement, I don't think you should be reminded that we had an agreement to do 1, 2, 3, 4. The government has different departments. The government has officials who should remind Treasury every other time. As 2018 approaches 2019, they have to keep reminding the Treasury that we had a CBA with the doctors that has to be implemented before this date. Unfortunately, I said in the other programs before that, we are a reactive nation rather than a proactive nation. We didn't have to wait for them to go on strike, to give them their dues, and then negotiate. I think somebody should have called them and told them, we had an agreement in 2017, and we are seeing it coming close before we fulfill it. Can we come to the table and see how best we can go about this before the crisis comes? Because right now, there's pressure on private facilities. There are people dying in their homes. There are, even if you were to get an accident today, I'm not sure you will make it to the hospital, even if it is the poorest of the hospital. Because the benches are empty, the offices are empty, the doctor's consultation room. I was being told the other day, the first 10 that appear in Kenyatta in the morning are the ones who are being attended to. How many people show up? Yes?
Thousands.
Thousands. If you are to attend to 10, is that a real thing? Let us, if you are training people to come out as doctors, make sure you have something to give them to do. Because I can't come negotiating for my salary. You tell me in 2023, we will consider you. Then when I come, in considering that in 2023, you want to reduce even what I was earning in the first place. That shows some dishonesty in government. That is why no one trusts the government. If you were to be sent today, Troy, to speak on behalf of the government, I'm not sure if the people you'll be speaking to will trust what you are saying, because they don't know who else will come and brush off what we had agreed about. So our professionals should be treated as professionals. The doctors save lives. I'm sure when they return, we will account to what we have lost, because I don't think they are the people who are in HDU, the people who are in ICU, the people who came for emergency services and did not get are alive at the moment as we are speaking. Even as we talk about the developments in malaria, yes, we have to celebrate that. But I think the PS and the CS should be dressed in sacks as they speak to the country. Because we are mourning already. It's a mourning situation because their sectors, look at how they are dressed. They look so smart, like nothing is going on. Yet the country, their sectors are not even working.
All right.
Yes?
Kim, I'm looking at what the government said, and it has tried to at least meet them somewhere. But the doctors say that unless you do what we agreed and signed, but things have changed in as much as there is that CBA. And remember,
yes,
the government had not anticipated this number of doctors, because we have every year university are churning out many.
Troy, the government knows everything.
Yes. I'm looking at the economy. Yes, the government knows the number, but in terms of preparing the treasury itself.
Troy, before you give it to
we know
our
if it's
colleague,
a university has 100 medical students, we know 100 students every year. Yes, I'm talking about treasury, because the head of public service did note that treasury was not quite involved in that, in the CBA, because the coffers themselves, even the head of state, that
Troy,
for now.
Troy, I think I
said I'm playing the devil's advocate.
It's my turn.
Yes, I like the way you...
I just want to clarify one thing. Let me clarify. No, I just want to clarify one thing.
Okay, just a minute.
Let Kivadi say something.
I like the way you're ganging up against me. But I said, I'm playing the devil's advocate.
Yes.
In as much as the doctors want the CBA honored, and the treasury coffers are not quite as they should be, where should we find that?
In fact, I'll also join you in playing the devil's advocate.
All right.
Today.
Yes. Because
so we have to.
and remember, we have a doctor. We have a doctor on the bench.
No. We have to. It's a fact and opinions. Yeah. We are not fighting.
All right.
This is how I put it. It's true there was a CBA in 2017 which listed a number of things that was agreed upon by the committee that was formed then. Part of it is that the entry point for interns would be job group L. What I know is that the civil servants job group entry for graduates it's K, right? Is it K? Yes. So if you arrange, KL comes after K, alphabetically. So L then is the job group that is after the job group K. But again, these guys want to take home 212. Graduates who join civil service at job group K take around 37 to 42,000. Now, I don't want to water down the efforts that is put to train a doctor. But again, the disparity in the earnings is way above. When you pay an intern 212,000 a month, I know this is inclusive of allowances, and that doctors have special allowances because of the special nature of job, which we must all appreciate. I think doctors must also appreciate that we are in Kenya, which is a growing nation, and which is struggling with the wage bill, and that they are part of this nation. And while CBAs must be respected, they don't have to be abrupt. They can be respected in phases. Teachers have been on strike, lecturers have been on strike, and it isn't always that you get whatever you want. You may come on the table. The reason it is called negotiations, it's a give-take. It is horse trading. We want this money paid to our interns, 212,000. The government says we can only pay 70,000 for us to absorb as many interns as possible, because we are the ones who carry the purse. We know what we can afford to pay for us to employ all the interns that are being churned from universities. I think it is a case of the two people being sober enough to agree that there isn't enough money to pay 212. 70 might be low. Then they can agree on a figure that is not 212 and not 70. That's number one. On the other issues of the doctors, there are some parts of the CBA that are not even negotiable, and which must be kept as it was agreed. Issues like the conditions under which doctors work,
yes.
Those are not negotiable. But on salary, the doctors must also stop being headstrong. They must listen to the government in as much as the government ought to come on the negotiating table with open hands and clean heart. The doctors also need to reciprocate in kind. I'm even thinking it is time in Kenya that we group doctors together with military officers and restrain them from ever going on strike. Because they took what they call hypocritical oath, that they will protect life at all costs. Now, how is it protecting life at all costs when you've been on strike for a whole month?
41 days today.
Yes, 41 days today. Imagine, there are Kenyans dying, na nyinyi muko huku kwa street you are singing that tutalipa kama tenda. And it is also good to note that these doctors, Njue, as you know, private hospitals in Kenya do not employ its own line of doctors. It's our public doctors in public facilities that will make sure that they have pressed the government to create time for them to go and work, These guys, my brother earns in excess of 600,000, 700,000 because these guys, they have like 6 or 7 hospitals to attend to. You want a doctor, it is an emergency, he has to be called by his colleagues, but in as much as don't duty because this guy is working for another hospital. We need to put all these things on table as a government and agree and be tough on doctors as well. In fact, I would say that there is a member of parliament who ought to bring a law to amend and include doctors with military officers. They should never go on strike. But again, in as much as they should never go on strike, the doctors should, the government should also not undermine what it has agreed with the doctors. It can implement it in phases. It can meet doctors halfway and talk on gentlemen's. You don't have to beat your chest telling these people that this is a piece of paper. It is not a piece of paper. It is a contract which you committed yourself into as a government. You must honor it in as much as you don't have to honor it once. But the doctors must also understand that they took an oath to protect lives. They're not doing that for 21 days. They're on the street singing and dancing. It's okay, they need pay. But again, we need doctors. These doctors were trained by our own tax money. Doctors didn't pay school fees for themselves. We paid for them to be trained. We need them in hospitals working for us. It is not a request. It is a fair refund of what we inputted in them. So it's a matter of government being tough, but again, fair enough. And I would tell the government it's time they take this matter beyond this strike and come up with laws. If doctors feel that they don't want to be grouped together with military officers, then they can quit and work for private sector.
Can I wrap in a bit?
Okay, just a minute. Doc almost took our head off.
The right of it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Right of reply.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that my colleagues don't understand how medical school operates. It's unfortunate for your child to go to university, graduates at the from the university, you attend his graduation, and he fails to do anything in the society to earn his living. What do I mean? If you finish medical school or any of the medical field, you complete your university course, you are expected to go through a 1-year internship, which is called academic internship, which allows you to be registered with the relevant authorities to practice in this nation and in any other nation. There are those who come from other universities outside Kenya who must sit for exams as well before even they go for internship, for them to be allowed to go for internship. Imagine 7 years in campus, you graduate, University of Nairobi is here, you graduate, you are happy your child has completed the university and he cannot go and treat even you. Does that mean that we must just fold our eyes and say that universities are producing a lot of medics and therefore we have no money for them to go for internship? We are not talking about employment of doctors. Nobody is actually mentioning employment of doctors. The year that they will be doing their internship, pay them so that they finish their internship, because they will be working as a qualified doctor, but it is the requirement for them to be under supervision. It's a practice globally, but they are qualified to work that. And if they are, you are entrusting them with patients in the institutions, and these hospitals for internships are specific, prescribed by the governments that are providing registration, then we must rethink and say, indeed, we must complete academic career for the students that have been in campus for 7 years in order for them to go and help themselves and help the society outside there. So I think we need to understand. We need to understand that. One. The 212 in order for us Number two. CBA is not. Treasury was not aware of CBA. That is not true. The design
was aware,
but the design of executing a CBA, collective bargaining agreement, is in a manner that all entities who are responding to that CBA must sign to it. Treasury has signed to it, confirming availability of resources for the agreement in that CBA. Ministry of Health have signed to it that they will go and submit the budget every year in order for them to fulfill the requirement for the CBA. Judiciary, which was an authority and a signatory to that document, as an arbitrator, has signed to it, and that is how it was approved. It's a legal binding document, and there's no one way that you will say the Treasury never had this. And this is 2017, by the way, that's 6-7 years down the line. And therefore, it is negligence. It was something that people never wanted to do. And now when the reality catch up with them, they are trying to look for a different language. Finally, finally.
Just a minute, just a minute. Back to my panel of experts here. Let's, you had a point.
I was on the point that if we must complete academic process of our students in medical schools or medical field, we must accommodate the internship process. It's part of the, or else we must find a way to pause universities not to produce medical, or colleges not to produce medical staffs. Then in terms of the CBA, I think I have already mentioned very clearly that this is something that is legally binding, and it does not rule out renegotiation. This should be very clear. What we are trying to say at the ministry is that the renegotiation process did not work out very well. There is a disconnect between the CS and the medical fraternity in Afia House and also in the union. And if this all is brought together in a very logical way, I know we will make a breakthrough, and our medical or health workers will be back to work, vibrant as they always been.
Thank you, Doc. In 30 seconds?
I mean, 30 seconds. I didn't get enough time today to discuss this, but anyway, I think you, Troy, and Kim, you tried playing the devil's advocate here. It failed.
We got to be realistic as well.
You get me right. You can't manage that strike. There are people whom you can manage their strikes. For example, these doctors, if you don't have them, you know, they are paying their bills. They're still treating in private hospitals. They're getting their money. So such a person, you can't manage that strike. The best thing is negotiate and negotiate better. But now the negotiation, the way it has gone, one side has an upper hand. If you're a good negotiator and you can see, the doctors have an upper hand. Let's get a better negotiator other than Felix Kosgei to deal with this thing. Otherwise, the same way I talked about disaster management in the country, that let us create a national special program and disaster management which deals with the risk management. These floods are happening in India, everywhere. We will be sending experts from that ministry to go and see how they're managing it there and bring that expertise here. And we'll be doing that. Issues of doctors, these are wage things. I thought we will get time to discuss the wage bill conference, the outcome of the wage bill conference. This will be part of that one. So we need a collective idea on how to manage our wage bill, and this will deal with even the doctors and other CBAs that are coming up in the near future.
Melly, 30 seconds?
Yeah, mine was to say that, one, the government has never lacked money. The money has always been there, and we have always seen the budget increase. It doesn't make sense to tell doctors that there's no money when you can set up money to repair Uhuru Park and make Uhuru Gardens. Yes, and come up with amorphous projects that some have never been finished. So put human life first. A Kenyan life should matter more the way an American, a single American life matters. We should take care of our citizens. We should take care, and at the forefront. If the ministry, the health sector was devolved, it should have been devolved with entire resources, because we are wondering what is the national government doing with a devolved function.
Kim?
Firstly, I would say we need to appreciate that the government is the one that manages funds, and that we understand our country is ridden with the debts that are taking much of our money. It is also good to appreciate that the wage bill of the nation has gone past 1.12 trillion, which is very high, needs to come down. Part of it is looking at doctors and asking, are we paying them too much? Because it is a discussion, in as much as we don't want to hear it, it is a discussion we have to engage ourselves into. I may support the doctor that we need to have every intern getting a chance to complete his course. Part of it means that the intern needs to be paid. If they stick on 212, when the government doesn't have enough to pay all the interns, then the doctors themselves are putting a bottleneck in the training of the interns. I think it is a matter of them agreeing with the government on good faith that it doesn't have to be 70, it doesn't have to be 212. Let's agree on a figure that is reasonable enough. Then let's agree on how we shall make it 212 eventually. Because these are quagmire. We are in a debt quagmire that will eventually get out of.
All right. Thank you so much. Kimani Mwangi is a governance expert. Just next to him, we have Sami Meli, Dr. Isaac Hassan, and last but definitely not least, Oscar Omondi, who is a university don and also a political scientist. Thank you so much indeed for watching. Let's continue this conversation on social media. My name is Bentro Njoe, and Lensa Odingo has been a sign language interpreter for this program. We started out with Brian Murat.